1. Introduction. The year 1933 was a turning point in American financial history. Amid the Great Depression, the United States government, under President Franklin D. Roosevelt, implemented a series of drastic economic measures that marked the nation's de facto bankruptcy. These actions, though not formally labeled as a bankruptcy in legal terms, fundamentally alter the nation's financial system, monetary policy, and the relationship between the government and its citizens. 2. Background: the Great Depression and economic crisis. By 1933, the United States was in the depths of the Great Depression. Banks had failed, unemployment soared, and the economy was paralyzed. Public confidence in the financial system had eroded, prompting urgent action by the federal government. 3. Executive Order 6102 and the gold seizure. On April 5, 1933, President Roosevelt issued Executive Order 6102, mandating that all individuals and institutions deliver their gold coin, bullion, and certificates to the Federal Reserve in exchange for paper currency. The order criminalized the possession of monetary gold by private citizens, effectively nationalizing the gold supply. This move allowed the government to devalue the dollar by increasing the official price of gold from $20.67 to $35 per ounce. This devaluation gave the federal government more leverage to pay its debts and increase the money supply. 4. House Joint Resolution 192, HJR 192. On June 5, 1933, Congress passed House Joint Resolution 192, which eliminated the gold clause in all public and private contracts. This clause had previously guaranteed that debts would be repaid in gold, but HJR 192 replaced that with a fiat currency system. It declared that payment in gold or a particular kind of coin or currency is against public policy. Key implications of HJR 192. Shift from asset-backed currency to fiat money. Debts could now be paid in legal tender. Federal Reserve notes removed the legal requirement for the U.S. government to back its currency with gold. 5. Creation of the debt-based economy. The removal of the gold standard paved the way for a debt-based monetary system. The Federal Reserve, established in 1913, gained increasing control over monetary policy, using interest rates and money supply as tools to regulate the economy. The U.S. government began borrowing against the future labor of its citizens, using Social Security numbers, birth certificates, and taxpayer status to securitize individuals as collateral in the form of trust accounts and financial instruments. 6. The emergence of the corporate United States. Many researchers argue that 1933 marked the transformation of the United States from a constitutional republic to a corporate entity. The U.S. government began operating under commercial law and the Uniform Commercial Code, UCC, rather than strictly constitutional law. Citizens were treated as corporate entities, or persons, subject to federal jurisdiction. Cestake trusts. Birth certificates and Social Security applications are linked to financial trust accounts, cestake trusts. These accounts are said to be managed by the U.S. Treasury and used as collateral for national debt. Judges, clerks, and government officials may operate under incentives related to these hidden accounts. 7. Long-term consequences. Loss of true sovereignty. Citizens became subjects of federal jurisdiction with limited access to common law remedies. Endless debt cycle. The fiat currency system and federal borrowing created a perpetual national debt. Widespread financial illiteracy. The public remained unaware of the financial mechanisms underpinning their daily economic lives. Expansion of government power. Federal agencies gained sweeping control over finance, taxation, healthcare, and commerce. 8. Conclusion. The 1933 bankruptcy of the United States set in motion a fundamental shift in governance, law, and finance. While marketed as a necessary response to a national crisis, the measures taken cemented a new system in which Americans became collateral in a global financial system. Understanding this history is essential for those seeking sovereignty, financial independence, and true citizenship. 9. When the United States declared bankruptcy, pledged all Americans as collateral against the national debt, and confiscated all gold, eliminating the means by which you could pay, it also assumed legal responsibility for providing a new way for you to pay, and it did that by providing what is known as the exemption, an exemption from having to pay for anything. In practical terms, though, this meant giving each American something to pay with, and that something is your credit. 10. Your value to society was then and still is calculated using actuarial tables, and at birth, bonds equal to this average value are created. I understand that this is currently between $1 and $2 million. These bonds are collateralized by your birth certificate, which becomes a negotiable instrument. The bonds are hypothecated, traded until their value is unlimited for all intents and purposes, and all that credit created is technically and rightfully yours. In point of fact, you should be able to go into any store in America and buy anything and everything in sight, telling the clerk to charge it to your exemption account, which is identified by a 9-digit number that you will recognize as your Social Security number without the dashes. It is your EIN, which stands for Exemption Identification Number. Recommended reading and references. Executive Order 6102, April 5, 1933, House Joint Resolution 192, June 5, 1933, The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin. Congressional Record, 1933-1934. Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, Definitions of Constitutor, Person, and Sovereignty.